Provincial level Infectious Disease Control Institute, Madam Ye Ying. And first of all, Mr. Li Changxun will brief you about the updates of the flood situation here in the province. Dear media friends, good afternoon. Now, the strong rainfall is continuing in Henan province, and for your information, firstly, the flood, the emergency, and disaster status quo are as follows. Firstly, since early July, Henan witnessed the unprecedented heavy rainfalls. By 23rd, the average precipitation is 223 mm in the province. And for the top four, the cities are Heli, 581.5 mm, Zhengzhou, 530.5 mm, Xinxiang, 426 mm, Ganyang, 405.8 mm. And from 19th to 20th, in 2 days' time, we have seen strong storms, and the maximum precipitation lasted for over 70 hours, and the average rainfall is 465.7 mm. For the peak in 1 hour, that's about 201.9 mm. That's already breaking the record in history for 1 hour's time. Second, influenced by the strong and heavy rain, about 14 dams, 51 mid-sized reservoirs have exceeded the safety water lines, and in Weihe River, Huiji River, Yin River, Hun River, we have seen the flood exceeding the limits. And in Yellow River, Cuijiaqiao, Guangyingpo, Zhihong Qu, on the 21st, were put into operation. Liangxiangpo, Quxi were put into usage since 22nd. Changzhuang Dam has also seen big flood. Third, in Changzhuang Reservoir, the downstream dam has seen severe disasters. And Artichu Dam was even flooded, so it was under the threat of a collapse. Shuangsi River, Jialu River have seen some section of it being flooded, but it has already been controlled with our efforts. And as to the disaster, Zhengzhou, Anyang, Hebi, Xinxiang have seen the backlogging of the flood in the downtown area. The railway, road, civil aviation have all been impacted by the flood. According to our brief statistics, 121 counties and over 1,000 townships, 5.54 million people were affected. By the evening of 22nd, there were 33 casualties. 8 people were missing. And as to the casualties, today we are still calculating it. 3,164 households have seen their houses damaged by this flood. And those 3,000 houses already collapsed, and over 5,500 houses additionally were damaged severely. Over 5 billion economic losses were already caused. The CPC Central Committee and the State Council pay high attention on the flood control in our province and have given us instructions. The central leaders like Premier Li Keqiang has given us instructions and guidance. We've done specific studies about the measures, and the Water Conservancy Department has given us some guidance. So those top-level leaders have come to the front line for on-site leadership and guidance, and we have already kick-started the Level 1 and Level 2 emergency response. We have been also working with the Army, the PLA, to control the flood with about 12,000 PLA and 18,000 firemen. And 240,000 common people dive into this undertaking of flood control. And in the whole province, we have relocated 495,000 people. And I have to explain it further. We've been approached about the numbers of emergency relocation and emergency rescue. Emergency rescue means we only need to relocate them with no further government support. But if they further need the support of their lives, the government will do more. So that latter number reached already 520,000 people. So emergency rescue, 490,000, but emergency relocation and help reached 520,000 people. We also have gained cooperation from different entities. They have come to the grassroots level, like the neighborhoods. They are all dedicated into reconstruction. We are trying to resume electricity, water supply, transportation. We have taken decisive measures to guarantee the supply of materials and food and guarantee food safety and sanitation. We hope to control any infectious disease after this disaster. We are also implementing the key instructions by General Secretary Xi Jinping. We've always put top priority to people's life safety and property guarantee. And secondly, for the northern and western part of Henan province, we strengthen our investigation so as to set up an early warning system and a dispatching system. We will timely kick off the emergency response signal like Yudi Dam, the water transmission project from the south to north. Those will be the key priorities for our attention. Different disaster control measures will be put into application to save the affected people. Thirdly, reconstruction work is continuing. We will work around the clock to restore the water conservancy projects, roads, bridges, electricity, transcommunication, and water supply so as to resume the normal production and life of the people. Fourthly, agricultural production. We mobilize the affected places to smooth away the water supply system, particularly the water supplied for the farmlands. And we advise the farmers to change the varieties of their production to guarantee the food security. The different agriculture experts were dispatched to the on-site for more guidance. Fifthly, in this round of disaster, we have to study about the causes, the measures, to organize our experience and lessons in order to improve our disaster prevention and control capability. Sixth, we will also submit the information to the superiors in order to be the reference for the decision-making. And we will strictly standardize the disaster management and control, particularly the subsidies for that cause. We will try to ensure that the affected region and people will get the first aid from the financing. Based on the situation in the province, some localities are not performing well. To be honest, since the flood broke out, the loss of signal of our cell phones was frequent. So during the daytime, we will walk as far as possible to reach out to the affected people in order to get as much information as possible. The Department of Agriculture, Department of Tourism have their own instruments to offer us enough big data. For example, the cameras installed in the neighborhoods. So we are going all out to improve our situation. That's all for my briefing. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Li. Now we will open the floor to questions. And as usual, please identify yourself before raising the questions. I have a question to Mr. Kong. I am Zhu Peixian from People's Daily. We know that flood prevention and control is a heavy pressure on the cities. Could you introduce to us about the measures taken recently in terms of flood prevention and in the future to resume the operation of the cities and the order of the cities? What's your plan? Thank you for your questions. Recently, different localities in the province have seen unprecedented heavy rainfalls in Chinese history. Zhengzhou, Xinxiang, Hebei have been severely affected. The rivers and the other waterways have seen the rising water levels. Waterlogging is rampaging the cities. In some areas, natural gas, the running tap water was suspended in supply. So flood control and prevention is a huge pressure on the cities. According to the provincial people's government and the urban rural housing departments, recently we have all been dedicated to the cause of preventing flood. Firstly, immediate response. Ever since the outbreak of the flood, we set up our team of rescue and kick off the contingency plan. We have enhanced our guidance towards the flood control. We have dispatched 6 teams to Zhengzhou, Xinxiang to offer first-line help, and the leaders led 10 other panels to different districts of Zhengzhou City in order to have one-to-one service. Second, immediate report to ask for immediate help. We have given the first-hand information to the central government in order to demand immediate help. We have received the central government leaders' instructions. 62 pumping trucks, 650 team members were sent to Zhengzhou in order to avoid the waterlogging in Zhengzhou, and the water disposal capacity has been greatly improved by 3.2 times because of such professional help. As to lighting and sanitation, we also received on-site guidance from the central government leaders and their professional teams. We have also coordinated the cities to send us another 11 such pumping trucks. To Xinxiang, we have received 3 pumping cars. We also asked for the emergency rescue teams, the excavators from the other cities unaffected by the flood in the province. And 35,000 people were sent for the rescue work. And 50 construction enterprises with 2,000 employees volunteered for the rescue work. Right now in Zhengzhou City, except some severely affected regions, disposing the water right now. The main roads have been put into operation. 4 running water factories resumed their operation already, and many neighborhoods have resumed their supply of natural gas. As to the other cities, the flood control is going on pretty well. For the housing, utilities, facilities, in the cities, we have seen no casualties. In the future, we will continue to implement General Secretary Xi Jinping's instructions about flood control and prevention, and implement the municipal and provincial government's decisions. We will enhance our drainage of the flood and ensure the supply of materials in order to have good reconstruction. Firstly, water drainage and flood control. We will closely follow the change of the rainfall, particularly the key priorities. We will enhance our coordination of the supply of the draining and pumping trucks, particularly in the severely affected areas and neighborhoods. We will speed up the process of draining the flood in order to have a smooth transportation like bridges and roads. Second, guarantee the supply for the old neighborhoods, houses, construction projects, pipelines of natural gases. We will try to dispel any potential hazard. For lighting facilities and the greening facilities, we will also restore the damage in order to avoid any derivative damage. And we will also encourage the examination of the water quality to guarantee the safety of the drinking water. And for the damaged pipelines, we will offer more restoration work. Third, cleaning and disinfection. We will be comprehensive in terms of the underground water pipe, sanitation and clearing, and the roads and bridge cleaning. As to the agriculture food market, we will also improve the sanitation and disinfection situation in order to restore a good city outlook. Thank you. Next question. My question is to Mr. Fang from CMG. Affected by the strong rainfall, in many townships, telecommunication is damaged. So what is the status quo of telecommunication and what's your plan? Thank you for your questions. In Zhengzhou and others, a lot of telecommunication facilities were damaged, like the cable lines. In Mihe Township of Gongyi City, we even saw the obstruction and blocking of communication completely. In the Chinese history, we have never seen such complete blocking of telecommunication at township level. So you can imagine the severity of this disaster. So, in face of that, the Telecommunication Department of Henan Province strictly implemented General Secretary Xi Jinping's key instructions. According to the Provincial People's Government and the Information Technology Department's requirements, we have immediately come to the war state. We have done enough guarantee work of telecommunication improvement. After all, telecommunication is the lifeline in such a rescue time. And as to the influence of the common people's telecommunication services, we hope to minimize the loss. And for the base stations, 60,000 base stations were affected and 40,000 have been resumed. For cable lines affected, 3,300 lines were affected and we have already operated 1,500 lasting for 2,900 kilometers in distance. We have done the following work. Firstly, swiftly restore the emergency response system since the outbreak of the disaster. We require Henan China Mobile, Telecommunication, and 2 other enterprises to proceed with the emergency response system. With the worsening of the disaster, within 24 hours, we have successfully elevated the emergency response level for 2 times, and since 21st of July, we already put it at the level 1 emergency. The main leaders of the entities come to the front line for guidance, and the responsible people was stringently observing the principles in terms of the telecommunication recovery and so on. Second, infrastructure and facility maintenance and repair. According to the instruction of our bureau, different entities work quickly to restore the key lines. For example, the key government entities, railway departments, hospitals, and so on. We hope to guarantee that there will be dedicated persons for those key entities' telecommunication 24/7. And as to the township level blocking of telecommunication, we also dispatched the professionals to the front line immediately. We mobilized all resources of our disposal, including dispatching the drones. And at 8 p.m., 21st of July, we have restored 1 transmission line successfully. But that line was later on damaged again by the storm. Early 22nd of July, we restored another line. We also sent 1 drone to fly to Mihe Township. In the afternoon of 22nd, at around 5 p.m., the fixed broadband services were restored. So that was about dinner time for the local people of the township. I have a photo to show you, actually. When Mihe Township restored its telecommunication, the people finally got in contact. And they were very excited. They were hugging. The township party secretary and the telecommunication responsible people finally had smiles on their faces. The responsible person of the company, responsible for the recovery of telecommunication, was very proud. He thought that we finally succeeded in honoring their commitments. The smiles showcased their words in hearts. Finally, the family members could send messages to the family members, informing each other of their own safety. So that means telecommunication is paramount in such a special time. When you have no problem accessing telecommunication, you don't feel the importance of it. But as long as you lose it, you know how much you need it. By this time, over 8,000 emergency vehicles were sent. And 8,000 power generation engines were used, and we are also asking for help from the outside. The Information Technology Department dispatched 13 Level 1 telecommunication teams to come to Zhengzhou for help from Hubei, Shandong, Shanxi, and Beijing. We also received the rescue teams. Thirdly, actively coordinating and solving the power supply issue of the base stations. The shutdown of the base station is mainly because of the power supply issue, so we report the situation to the provincial people's government, and then the government coordinated with the provincial level telecommunication entities. We aim to guarantee the key computer rooms of the base stations. Meanwhile, our bureau immediately worked with 4 telecommunication enterprises to ask for more resource. Nationwide, they have mobilized 1,700 engines. Now 804 engines already arrived in Zhengzhou. For the remaining of them, they arrived in the afternoon today. And we also ask for 21 emergency response vehicles. They will arrive very soon this afternoon. We estimate that in the downtown of Zhengzhou, the base station telecommunication through the means of the power engine supply be recovered, and we will do good alert work of the disaster. We also are working with the telecommunication enterprises, the municipal level, flood control headquarters, and metallurgical departments to do a good prevention and forecast work of the flood. We will also be responsible for texting the common people about potential rains. In the future, our bureau will also vehemently implement General Secretary Xi Jinping's calls putting first priority to people's lives and property safety. We will also organize all industries to further restore telecommunication of Zhengzhou City, and we will also actively respond to the disaster in northern part of Henan province by closely following the climatic change. We will also do the good messaging work together with the metallurgical departments. Thank you. Next question. From the China News Service. Many hospitals have seen the lack of supply of water and electricity, and many patients were also affected by the disaster. So what is the situation of those hospitals in Zhengzhou City? Thank you for your questions. And I would also like to thank the media fans for your concern of the medical sector. In several areas of Zhengzhou, because of the heavy rainfall, waterlogging is influencing us. And in some affected regions, the power supply, water supply were affected as well, particularly in the hospitals. For example, Huaihua Cardiovascular Hospital and others have seen the blocking of telecommunication. They were severely affected by the flood, and patients seeking help were also at a risk. So we have severely implemented the instructions of Premier Li Keqiang and General Secretary Xi Jinping, and then with the support of the provincial people's government, we have launched the contingency plan. On the following works like infection control, sanitation, and so on.
卫生应急工作，各地各单位
Different entities
要明
and
确职责分
localities
工，
identify
强
their
化
own
自然灾害卫
responsibilities,
生应急工作机制，完善
strengthening
洪涝
their
灾害卫
emergency
生
response
卫生应
mechanism,
急工作预案、
particularly in
技
terms
术
of
技术方
sanitation.
案和
We
流程
need
规范，
both
加
procedures
强
and
对医疗
technical
卫生
plans.
救助
We
专业人
also
员的培训
will
和
enhance the
演练，
training of the
做好
medics team,
卫生应
and
急
we
物
will
资
do a
储
good
备
job
等
in
各项
terms
工
of
作。二是
storing
落实
the
好灾
medical
区卫生
materials.
防病工
And
作，
secondly,
防止次生危害发生。
we will
昨
try
天
to avoid
国
the
家卫生健
outbreak
康
of
委副
any
主任
derivative
林海
damage.
潮带
Yesterday, Lin
领
Haichao
卫生
led
防疫、
a
心理健
delegation
康、
of
社区卫生等专家
psychologists and
组成的工作组
medical
抵达河南。
experts in communities
省
to
将
arrive
从
in
国家专
Henan
家组一
province,
道做好
and
灾后卫生防。
we will do a good reconstruction work and infectious disease control and prevention.
要依据相关
Different medical institutions, according to the contingency plans, will must have their own respective plans to guarantee the usual medical
急
work
诊
in
值
their
班，确
hospitals.
保因灾
And
突
there
发
must
事件
be
紧急医学救助
shifts of the
第一时间
doctors
响
and
应，
nurses in
第
order
一
to
时间
have
处置。
the
这
first
是加强值班值守，
response.
及时
And
启动
fourthly,
卫生应急响应。
We will timely
24
kickstart the emergency response system in the hospitals. There will be the staff members on post 24/7 in the hospitals, and for any disaster, there must be immediate submission of the information in order to have
待
timely
命备勤状态，
handling.
根据需要
And
迅
according
速
to
集
the
结赶捕
requirements,
灾区，
there must be quick organization of the professional teams to
抗
come
灾
to
防
the
病和新冠肺炎疫
onsite
情
of
防控
the
工作，
disaster. Fifth,
既要防范
COVID-19
汛前
prevention and
后
control.
次生危害发
We
生，
must
更要
prevent
做好
any
新冠肺炎疫
infectious
情防控
disease
工作，确保
since the
大灾
outbreak
之
of
后
the flood.
无大
We
疫。
also need to
此
continue
次强
our
降雨
vigilance
中，
against
郑大一附院、
COVID-19.
阜外华中心
The
血管医院
Zhengzhou
受
First
灾较
Affiliated
重，
Hospital
灾前发
was
生
severely
后，
affected by
省
the
卫生健
flood.
康委
So the
积极
provincial
组织
level
力量
health commission
安排受
organized
损严重
teams
的医院病
to
人向
those
其他医
severely
院转
affected
运。
hospitals and
郑大一
patients,
附
and
院
those
和
patients
医
were
院区的病
then
人
transferred
向
to
郑
the
州
other
大学医
hospitals.
附
For
院、
example,
东院区、
they
中
were
边兄弟医
transferred to
院
the
转运。
Eastern Hospital
截至7月22
and
日
to the
凌
other
晨1
sister
点30
hospitals
分，
of Zhengzhou,
郑州
number
大
one
学
affiliated
第一附
hospital.
属医院和医院区全部转移完毕。
Now all of the patients have been transferred.
病尽快转移患者，省政府组织部队的官兵。
And medical professionals were also transferred to the provincial people's hospital. Those medical workers, with their actions, showed the loving spirit of the doctors and nurses. And for Children's Hospital, 120 children were then referred to the other hospitals. In the afternoon of the 20th of July, the intern Yu Yifei and Xing Jieling, Ye Yinghua volunteered to help,
12时，他们的膝盖跪伤了，
and their
胳膊
knees
疼得抬不起来了。
were hurt.
回想起
The
来，
arms
在
couldn't
地铁里的
lift.
情形，于润飞发朋友
Looking
圈
back,
说
Yu Yingfei
包里有今
posted
天医院新发的大白褂，披上
I
无
already
形。
have the
7月
enough
21日晚，
necessities
郑
supplied
州大
by the
学
hospital.
第3附属医院产
And
科
from the third affiliate hospital of Zhengzhou
医
University,
生打着备用灯接生，
the doctors
小宝宝顺利诞生，母子平
were
安。
shooting their flashlights
郑州
to
120急救
deliver
中心
the pregnant
从7
woman.
月
And
20日16
since
时至7月
July
22
the
日24时，
20th
不
till
受理急救
the 22nd, one hospital received 44 such
救治
patients,
1050人。
saving
我
1,500
们
people.
现在省委省政府的坚强领导下，
And in the future, under the guidance of the provincial people's government, we will mobilize all medical resources of the province
与
to
全省
do
人民一
good
起战胜灾害，共克时
control
艰。
in order to
一是做好
conquer the
灾后防疫
difficulties
工作，
together with the
坚决
people
克
in the
服松
province.
懈麻痹思
Firstly,
想，
COVID-19
全力防范
prevention and
新
control.
冠
We
肺
will
炎疫情
not
和
stop
洪涝灾
our
害
and drop our vigilance
突然
against the
疫情双节点
COVID-19 post
高
this
度重视
disaster.
洪涝
We will pay higher
灾害
attention
可
to
能带来
flood
的
and
精力
any
挤占、物质
triggered
损失等问题，
material
以及
shortage
人员聚集
or infectious
管理
disease
学位
or the
风险
gathering of the
全面加
people.
强疫情常态
We
化
will
防控工
strengthen
作，
the
做好
routine
疫情
prevention and
协查、
control work of
人物
COVID-19,
闭环管理，
and we will also have a
抚
closed
养
loop
长
to
期潜
manage
伏
the
的特殊病
personnel.
例
For
处
the
置等重
special
点工作，
medical cases, we
全
will
面
have
加强疫
special
情常态化防
measures.
控工
We
作，
will also continue
继续
our
继续
COVID-19
大
prevention
力
and
推进
control
新
as
冠疫苗
usual.
接种工
And
作。
the vaccination
加快
of
形成人群
COVID-19
免
is
疫
going to
屏障。
be recovered as
二是
well.
按照集
Second,
中伤员、集中专家、集中资
we
源、
will
集中救
organize
治的
the
原则，
experts
继续做
together
好伤
to
员的救治工
collectively
作。
save
三
those
是组织协
injured
调、调
people
拨
in a
发
designated
动机、
spot.
抽水
And
机、
third,
净
we
水
will also
器等物
dispatch the
资，
pumping
检修
machines, the
受损设备和
drones,
医
and the
疗设备，
engines
尽快
to
恢复正常的
restore
医疗秩
those
序，
facilities
为
in
经济
order
社会运行
to
和群众生产
resume
生活
the
提供有
medical
力健康
operation,
保证。谢谢。
offering enough health support of the common people. Thank you. Next question.
有请第一排这位先生。
上群人员您好，我是河南日报记者。
From Henan Daily. According to our knowledge, many charity organizations and common people have donated. So could you give us more information about the donation received in Henan province? And how will we guarantee that the donation will be timely applied for the cause of flood control and reconstruction? Thank you. The charity workers and organizations have helped us since the outbreak of the flood. General Secretary Xi Jinping has given key instructions about flood control, and we have implemented the decisions of provincial people's government. The flood control work has been planned delicately, and we highlight the prevention and control of disaster and the rescue and help of the affected people. We also mobilize the social forces to participate in the construction and the rescue work. So this rare storm is in the hearts of all charitable people and organizations. They have acted timely, and they volunteered to donate both in kind and in cash, helping our rescue work. Firstly, the organizations galvanize different social forces to participate in flood control. Such charitable forces have their own advantages, and they lawfully and orderly participated in the rescue work. Particularly for Zhengzhou City and other severely affected cities, they offered timely help, ensuring that the portals of our province and our WeChat information were then reposted again and again, and the enterprises, charitable organizations, the Red Cross, and the common people responded actively as well. So, such small forces come together. By 23rd, the Red Cross of Henan Province and the other foundations together at both provincial and Zhengzhou municipal level have received 3.035 billion RMB yuan. One organization received 1.9 billion RMB yuan. The Red Cross system received 649 million RMB yuan. And such donation amounting to over 100 million RMB yuan, 12 organizations were qualified. They are Alibaba Charitable Foundation, Zhejiang Mayun Nonprofit Foundation, donating 150 million. Another foundation donated 100 million RMB yuan. Shanghai Xunmeng Information Technology Corporation donated 100 million RMB yuan. Liaoning Fangda Group donated 100 million. And Foxconn donated another 100 million. The Coal Nonprofit Foundation donated 100 million. Pinduoduo donated 100 million. ByteDance Foundation donated 100 million. And Didi Foundation donated 100 million. Heren Philanthropic Foundation donated 100 million. Mayun Group donated 100 million. Muyuan Group donated 100 million. By now, Bofu donated 2.3 billion RMB yuan. According to the charitable law, according to the willingness of the donators, the money will be then sent to the receivers. And in line with the disaster situation, the related charitable organizations will be responsible for dispensing the money. And there will be more information from Mr. Li Changxun. I would love to thank all the people from the society for giving us donation. The Henan Provincial Red Cross and the Charity Federation of Henan Province have received a lot. And we believe that the drought and flood control entity is in the best knowledge of the status quo, and we must avoid the abuse of the donated money. So, according to the actual situation of the affected regions in the province, considering the number of population affected, the transferred population, the collapsing houses, and the casualties, the money will be then distributed accordingly. We hope to prevent any abuse of the money. And the Red Cross, the Charity Federation of Henan Province, according to their charters, will then allocate the money to certain localities. Right now, the fund utilization is quite efficiency, and every 5 p.m. per day, the Red Cross and Charity Federation must organize all of the information today, and together with the Disaster Rescue Division, they must work together to evaluate the situation of the disaster and the situation of the fund utilization. Then, with the approval of the respective leaders, the two charitable organizations, in line with their own procedures will allocate the money.
两次领导这个研究或者讨论这个问题时候，都在
When
凌晨
discussing
2
the
点。
issues,
但是到
it
了
usually
慈善
happened
总
at
会，到了
2 a.m.
红十字会，基本上
Then,
是
to the two charitable
不停
organizations,
就采取他们的一
the
套程序
decision
往
was
下走。
implemented,
所以我
and
们
they
感
keep
到非常
working
欣慰的
almost
是，
24/7.
社会
So
组
we are
织
very relieved
和政
that
府
the
的
social
组织
organizations are
共同
closely
联动的
cooperating with the
效率
government.
非常
With
高，
the joint efforts, we have
随时保持联系，
been
随
very
时预测
efficient.
预判。
We
提
could
出大
contact
家
each
在一
other
块儿商量。
anytime, and then we
这个我
could
觉得
discuss with each
在这
other.
一方面，应
In
该说我
terms of
们
that, I have to
省
say
红十字会啊，
that
甚至
the
慈善总
Henan
会在
Red
民
Cross
间的
and
指
the
导下，
Charity Federation,
践行了
with the
我们
support
慈
of
善
the
机构
general
的
public,
宗
are
旨。
truly practicing the principles
一
of
方面我们发
philanthropy.
放资源，
Once one
体
is
现了全
in
国
need,
爱心
all
人士
others
对我
will
们河
come
南的关
to
心，
the help. So we
对我
would
们
love
河
to
南
thank the
受灾
caring
群众的
of
关心。
Henan province
在
of
此呢，
the
我也代
affected
表
Henan
省
locals
防治啊，代表
and
省
on
防治办公
behalf
室吧，
of the
对
provincial
给我们河南
flood
捐
and
款
drought control
企业
office.
个人，甚至
I would love to thank
给
all
我
of
们
the
河南
organizations
这个
and individuals
提出
that have helped
我们
Henan
应该怎么
province.
防灾减灾
Some
救
of
灾建
you
议的
guys
东
have
西，
given us suggestions about flood control and
衷心的
prevention,
感谢
and we sincerely want to
向他
pay
们的
our
爱心
gratitude to you,
这个
to your good hearts.
在我们河南受灾地区一定有
In the affected regions of Henan
使
province,
广大受灾群众
the
坚
affected
定
people
抗灾的信念，
have boosted
坚定
their faith
美好
and
生活的未
confidence
来。
to ride against the current challenge
谢谢李总
and
的
to
具体
embrace a better
通报
future because of
这
your
里
help. Thank
需
you,
要
Mr.
特别
Lee.
指出的是，
And I especially want to
我省
point out
长期对
that
福援疆的哈密市人民
Hami
和
City is
新
our
疆
sister city,
生产建设兵团
and
第13师的
the number 13 Regiment of Xinjiang
也
have
深
helped
深
us a lot.
牵挂着抗击洪涝
They
灾
have
害
always
的河
put
南人民，
the
他们
Henan flood
驱车
on their
数千
minds.
公里，
They have
给我们
driven
送来了
thousands
捐
of
助资金
kilometers to send us
1300多万元人民币，
13 million RMB yuan. And even
和
melons,
羊肉
the
等
dough
食品
pies, and
充分体
lambs.
现了
That is a
边
full
疆各族
demonstration
人
that
民
the different
中原人民
ethnicities
的
in
深
China
情厚谊。
are sharing the
依
same
法加
bond.
强慈善捐赠款物的
And
管理，
secondly,
确保
lawful management
捐
of
赠款物
the
分配使用
donations. We
合
will
法
guarantee
合
that
规
the donations will be
各级民
used
政部门
lawfully,
加强
and
事
different
前、
civil
事中、
affairs
事后
entities
监管，
will
指导各
monitor
级
the
慈善组织
utilization
红十字
by
会
guiding the
规
Red
范
Cross
慈善
and
捐赠
charity
渠道和
federations
公开
to
募捐行为，
regulate their
我听
behaviors
加强
and
值班值
make
守
it
灾情
transparent.
发生的当
There will
晚，
be direct
纪事会、
management and a
省慈善
direct
总会、
distribution
省
of the
红十
fund.
字基金会
The
办
Provincial
理
Red
了
Cross
公开募捐方案备案手
has
续，
opened the
省
plan
红十字会、
of
省慈善总会、
asking for donation
省
in
红
the
十字基
public,
金会积极与
and the Charity
省防汛
Federation
抗
and
旱
Red
指挥部
Cross
对
are
接
working
统筹
closely with
安
the
排
other
防汛救
provincial
灾
government
慈善款
entities
物，加
to
快
manage
募捐
the
款物的
fund
拨付，
together.
依
We
法
will
规
speed
范
up
使用
the
捐赠
process
款物。
of dispensing the money.
从7月22日起，
Since July
全
the
省
22nd,
建立了
the
防
whole
汛救
province
灾捐赠
has
款物
set
数
up
据
a
统计
donation collection
报告
channel,
实
and
时汇
the
总
daily
各
reporting
地
system
慈
was
善
put
捐
in
赠的
place,
统计数据。
so the donation
截至
data
目前，
was collected
全省
timely
共
from
有
different
20家慈
localities.
善组
By
织
now,
红
20
十字会
charity organizations
按
in the
照慈善法规
organization
定，
participated, and according to the charity
公
law,
开募
the
捐
Red
方案的
Cross
备案工
improved
作。
the plan of donation.
3. 公开
Third,
透明，主动接受
Transparency
社
and
会监督。
openness. We
在防汛救
subject
灾期间，
ourselves to
全
the
省
supervision of
各
the
级慈
general
善组织
public.
和红十
Different
字会
charity
建立
organizations,
信
including
息
the
公
Red
开流
Cross,
程，
established
通
the
过
information
慈善中国
disclosure
网站、
system
本组
through
织
the
网站
charity websites,
微博
the official
和微
websites
信公众
of
号
the
等形式，
organizations,
依法
Sinablog
公
and
示
WeChat
捐赠款物
account.
接收
We
和
lawfully
分配使用明细，
distribute
确保
the money.
信息公
And
开
there is
可查
a
询
clear list of the
严格按照
donations. So we
目前方案
guarantee the
和
transparency of the
权赠协议文本
information,
适用
and we
权赠
strictly
刊物
organize
接受
the
全社会的监
distribution
督
of the
保障
materials.
社会爱心款物
We will guarantee
及时
that all of
用于
the fund
防汛
will
救
be
灾
timely used for flood control
聚焦据地
and rescue.
把
And
全省
fourth,
慈善力量、社
the
会工作
charity
组织、
forces,
志
social
愿服务团体
organizations,
凝
and
成
volunteering
一股绳
groups
各地充分发挥
will put
慈善
together
捐赠的
different
社会化优
localities,
势、
give full play
社会工作
to
的
the
专
social
业化优
forces,
势和志愿
because
服务
those
的
social
群众性
organizations
优势，
usually have a
加强
mass
慈善
base,
捐
and
赠与社会工作、志
we
愿服
will
务联动，
enhance
推
the
动资
coordination
源高效利用。
with the social
社会
forces
工作
in
者
order to improve
和
the
志愿者
efficiency of resource
迅速建立
utilization.
资源链接机
Volunteers
制，
quickly
及
set up
时
their own
收集整理
networks
受
to
困群众
collect
需
and
求信息，
organize the needs
积极
of the
参与
public.
爱
They
心物资
actively
发放，
participated
开
in the
展
dispatching
防
of
汛救灾
materials
知
and
识宣传，
supplies, and
特困群
information
众帮扶，
dissemination,
生
the
产生活
affected
秩序恢
people's
复，
support,
重点人
and
群
restoration
心理
of
疏导，
production orders,
转移安置群众等各项工
the
作，
relocation
有力推
of
动了
the affected
生产
people.
生活秩序的恢复
They have
重建。
greatly helped in
借此机
reconstruction
会，
and
请允许我代
restoration
表
of production
河南省民
and
政厅
life. So on
对
behalf of
我省
Civil
防
Affairs
汛救
Bureau
灾
of
工作
Henan Province,
奉
I
献
would
爱
love to
心
thank all
关
of
心
you
支持的
for your
海内外朋
charitable
友、
hearts
社会各界爱
and
心
for
人
all
士、
of the friends
爱
in
心
China
企
and
业、
abroad,
社会慈
the
善力量、广大慈善
charitable
工作者、
enterprises
社会工作
and
者和志
organizations,
愿
the
服务者
individuals,
向
social
哈密
workers,
市
and
人民
volunteers,
和
and
生产建设兵
Hami
团
locals
13师
and the
全体
number
干部职工
13
表示最
regiment
衷心的感
of
谢和最崇
Xinjiang.
高的
I
敬
would
意。
love to give my
下一
sincere
步，
thanks to
我
all
请
of
将
you.
继续按
In the
照
future,
省委
our
省政府的
bureau
决策部
will
署
continue
和
to execute
省
the
防汛
decisions
救
of
灾指挥部
provincial
的统一
people's
要求，
government
在民政部的指导下，进一步提升
under the
政治
guidance
站
of
位
the， Civil Affairs
积极
Ministry.
履行职
We
责，
will
全
actively
力以
honor our
赴投入
commitments
我省的
and go
防
all
汛救
out
灾工作，
to flood
与
prevention
全省
and
人民一
control.
道，为夺
Together
取
with
防
the
汛救灾
people
的
in
胜利
Henan
做
Province,
出我们
we
应有的贡
will
献。谢谢大
contribute
家。
to the success of flood control. I would love to add two things. Firstly, speaking of the spirit of one in need, all others coming to help, I have examples. Since Hami was mentioned, I know the story pretty well.
这个得到他们第一消息，知道河南情况以后，就给防
The
汛
moment
抗
they
旱机
heard
构打电
about
话，
the flooding flood,
打电
the
话
flood in
说
Henan,
需
they
要
called
什么
us.
当时
asking
我们
us
觉得
what we
灾情不
need.
是很重，再加上他们特别
In the
远，
beginning, the disaster wasn't very severe, so we said we don't need anything. Then they watched TV,
送东西，
and they insisted on driving to Henan to
长
send
途跋涉10几
materials.
辆车
We
40辆
cannot
带队，大家
prevent
心里
them
多
from
么心
coming
这是一个例子。第二个例子是
for such a
广东
long
省
distance.
应
That's
急
one example.
广东
Second,
省应急厅给我们
the
打电话
Emergency
的时候，
Response
他是
Bureau in
刚刚
Guangdong
应对
Province,
了
they also
一个
called
台
us,
风，就是珠海的一
saying
个
that
台风
they have just
他们
succeeded in
还没有
handling a
抢救
typhoon in
完
Zhuhai.
没有完全
The
撤
work
备
wasn't
就给我们打
accomplished
电话
yet,
说河
but
南
they
福
called
建人
us,
民缺
saying
的
that
就是这种大
I
风
guess
雨的抽
Henan
水机
will need a
我们
lot
南
of
方都
such
有这种
water
备用。
drainage system.
所以尽管
The southern
他们的
provinces
应
had a
对没有
lot
做完，他们
in
当地的这
case.
个整个
So,
应对洪水灾害
even
这
though
个工
they
工作没有完全结
haven't
束，
completed their work of the pumpers,
提出来
they
要
have done
这个
a
给
great
我们
deal
支援
to
连夜
help
打
us.
电话连夜装车连夜派人
They load
等于
those
说是
water
从
pumps
广东运过来大家想
overnight
也是
and sent them from Guangdong to
长途
Henan.
跋涉每到一个地方
That's
说
a
都
long
会报告
distance
说我们
driving
走
as
到哪
well.
儿了
And
就是
they keep
怕我们
notifying
担
us
心他们运
about
设备
their
这个
location.
大型机械设备啊，那长途
They don't
运也
want
是
us
很
to
难
get
因为
worried.
路上也有地方是有水的。
Such a long distance
所以这种情况
transportation
我们
is
在
very
这
difficult, and
希
they
望
also
我们这个
encountered some
就是
flood.
对于省外的，对我们河南省
So I do want to
多对于
inform
这
our
个
media
了
friends
解或者是
of such
发掘
help
这方面
from
的严谨他
the
对于
other
振兴我们
provinces.
河南人增强信心确实特别有好处。
They really
刚才
did a lot
方
to
我们
boost
这
our
个方
confidence.
强局长讲到，
According to Fang Qiang, the drones were allocated. Those drones used to be military drones, but then, since this drone was just used for once this year, it was dispatched immediately to Henan province. That's only the second time of its application. 7 firefighting teams were sent. So we received a lot of help, not just the personnel, but also equipment. The NDRC also mobilized a lot of equipment from the other provinces. I have to say that the successes we achieved right now are indispensable from the government support and the social forces. And also, that boosted our confidence. We're also quite capable. Thank you. Next question. Thank you. From Henan Legal Affairs newspaper. After the flood, it is frequent to see the infectious disease breaking out, particularly for the infections to the intestinal. So how to prevent infectious disease? Thank you for your question. The Health Commission is burdened with any potential outbreak of such infectious diseases, so we will take solid steps to prevent the epidemic after the flood. Firstly, in the disaster regions, we will do sanitation work. According to the guideline of disinfection and the disease prevention and control plan of Henan province and vaccination guideline, we will offer enough preparation in terms of manpower, materials, and equipment. There will be regular vaccination, emergency disinfection measures to guarantee sanitation and be always prepared for outbreak of epidemic. And after the disaster, we will also properly dispose the feces and the bodies of the dead animals. And we will also enhance the monitoring of the food. So for meals and the catering businesses, we will strengthen disinfection, and we encourage all individuals in the society to participate in the sanitation work. And in the meantime, we will persist in COVID-19 prevention and control as well. So vaccination will be continued. The people entering our borders will also be quarantined, so we will avoid the rebound of the COVID-19 after the flood. We also encourage the media friends to help us do the promotion work, educating our people about the drinking water safety, not drinking raw water, and only drinking the bottled water or the boiled water. And for the barrels or bowels burning the water, they must be clean and be washed frequently. For the wells flooded, they must be washed again and again and be disinfected. The water facilities must also be disinfected before usage. And as to food safety, do not eat any bad food, and for the animals, do not eat any dead animal. And the raw and the cooked food must be separated. And do not wash the vegetables and fruits with the flood. And wash your hands frequently. Do not use a dirty hand to touch your towel or your handkerchief. Avoid gathering of population when you come to a public place. Wear facial masks. Pay attention to the environment. Have a clean environment and clean it first, then disinfect it. And for the sewage and the garbages, you must dispose them regularly. And open your windows to guarantee good ventilation. And when necessary, disinfect your walls and your floors, particularly the lavatories. For any feces and garbages, they must be disposed in designated spots. As to the poultries, they must be properly managed. For the animal bodies, they must be cleared away and buried immediately. And also kill the mosquitoes and the mouses. When you discover that there is an increasing number of the mouses, you must report to the local authority. And also you must keep a dry and clean land. Do not rest on the grasslands. If you have any disease, go to the hospital immediately. If you feel unwell, go to a doctor, particularly when you have a fever, cough, vomiting, or diarrhea, or the skin disease, or the jaundice. Ask for medical help. And avoid riding on a bus and other public transportation. And also for COVID-19 prevention and control, you must never drop your vigilance. If you have a fever or cough, report to the certain respective people. And you must also wear some protective oil when you are touching the flood. And choose to wear protective clothing, like the boots. And we advise all people to pay attention to the Henan Provincial Health Commission WeChat to receive more education. And also psychologically, be positive and have a good lifestyle. Strengthen your awareness of disease prevention and control. That will help you to weather through this challenge. Thank you. I would love to thank all our leaders for your information. And dear media friends, the flood is an alert. Rescue is our responsibility. The whole province is implementing General Secretary Xi Jinping's instructions. People's lives were put to the first place, and the rescue work is combined with the party history learning campaign. So flood control and rescue is stepped up to guarantee people's life safety and property safety. We hope to resume the order of production and lives at an early date. For days, the central government has sent the leaders to the front line and responded to the concerns of the society with a lot of stories being told. I hope that our media friends could further carry on the spirit of fighting and create a positive atmosphere in the society about how this flood is galvanizing a lot of good hearts. And I would love to thank you all. This is the end of today's press conference. I would love to thank all our media friends and our experts for being here.